Hey, what's up, everybody? We are back. Gonna talk Joker Mask. I got my buddy Paul here from
Hi.
the comic binge. Right? Is that right? The comic
Binge.
binge.
Yeah, you said comics binge the first time, but I forgive you.
Yeah, I know. Who? Seriously, bro. You want to get into that? Should be the comics binge. It's more than one comic, right? Right. So
It sounds better. It sounds better.
it does, but that's not the one you got. You got the one that doesn't sound better, which is comic binge.
Are you kidding? No. I think anyway. This is a whole different podcast. Anyway, continue.
I tried to give you a promo. Paul. All right, so we're gonna be talking Joker Mask. I brought this book up, so I picked this up in, oh man, I want to say sometime 2000, early 2000. Yeah, it was around 2000. I want to say, yeah. So it says publishing date May 2000, so it's probably 2 months before that. So yeah, March or April 2000. I was stationed in Germany at the time in the army. There was a comic book shop in Frankfurt I used to go to that carried English comics. And I saw this cover. I was like, boom, gotta have this. This art looks freaking dope. So I picked it up. And funny thing about this series, this is the closest to the movie version of the Mask I've ever seen in a comic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
So it's kind of like it's one of these books that, like, to me, if you think about the Bruce Timm, Paul Dini, Alan Burnett, animated Batman the Animated Series, and you had someone that was drawing at like Image at the time doing that for a book, you'd kind of get this, like a Jeff Matsuda. The artist is Ramon Bachs. The story is written by Henry Gilroy and Ronnie Del Carmen. Henry Gilroy, as Paul knows, wrote a lot of those Clone Wars stuffs, right? Them Clone Wars books, right?
He was also a writer on the first season too.
And the first season, there you go. And Ronnie Del Carmen, big in storyboard animation and the animation scene. So, but Raymond F. Bachs came in here, pulling out the style that, I'm gonna be honest, man, I haven't seen him do since. Totally unique out of his career. So we're gonna get to that. Let's try this. This time we're gonna have Paul. Paul's gonna break down the story for you, and then I'll just point out all the cool little visuals that we see. A little other side note I want to get to really quickly. This is the first time I came in contact with Dave McCaig's coloring. Boosh, Dave McCaig. Brilliant colors. Probably my top 3 of all time, right? Yeah. So still working today, and man, just think about the coloring that was going on in the late 90s, early 2000s, and who's just, look at the finesse on that rendering. Look at that.
I was gonna say, yeah, like you brought this up to me before about how the coloring it kind of help me out here, but how it's like the yellow jacket from the Mask is also lighting the light behind the Joker.
It's a light source.
Like that's gorgeous. Yeah, thank you. Like, see, I'm terrible at this stuff, but there is that is detail right there. That's not very common in today's comic books, in mainstream comic books anyway.
Yeah, you're not getting that these days. Also, just the composition of this cover, I'm saying, like, that would be an excellent shirt, like a Hot Topic or something, right? Like that would fit really nice, I think.
Love that.
So, and hey, Joker's got a big grin, Mask has got a big grin. I could see how they could get together with that. Also, I think this might be the first time a Harley Quinn appeared in a Batman book that wasn't an actual animated series book, right? I mean, I don't think she was in the main,
quote unquote, not an animated series.
This isn't the animated series. It's like
exactly.
You know how the OnStar Batman commercials are and aren't the Batman from the Burton movies?
Exactly.
Right.
It has the Batmobile in it.
In the Danny Elfman music, but yeah, this is significantly better. So let's get to it. So what are we looking at here? What are we doing with the story here, buddy?
All right, so the Joker is coming in and steal from a museum, and he's just kind of has hijinks, and he's got his henchmen. Kind of, he's got the dumb henchman in there that the Joker classic, like, just beats up, and it's kind of a motif from the animated series, right? Hey, boss, like that whole thing, or
the 60s
Harley.
the 60s Batman series, right? Gotham
that's a good point.
the Gotham City Museum of Art, there's the art of the mask, and all these masks in here, and it happens to also be the Loki mask from the mask series.
And like and I don't know, like so for these first couple of pages, it's kind of him like, just being the Joker and causing havoc and all over the place. And it's kind of it's interesting. I do like the fact in the story here how you see Gilroy's kind of bringing up like him kind of being like Joker's relationship with the mask, right? You're getting that kind of established right off the bat, like not with the mask, but a mask in general, right? And you kind of see it here play out a little bit. And I like that idea that because he doesn't have a mask per se, he is who he is on the outside, which is a very different idea. The whole idea of the mask, like everything the Joker brings out in himself. It's in the comic books, and it's a whole thing. He
hates the clown masks, which is hilarious. I think this might be a reference to the clown mask in the 60s Batman show in the first episode of the Joker, the same mask that Heath Ledger wore in the bank robbery.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I think that might be. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but let's just say it is. Let's say they were really geniuses with that.
I like that.
But yeah, just right here too, like the art. If I had any criticism, I would just say his henchman. I thought that was Bullock, right? And it isn't because Bullock is later on in the issue, but it is. Yeah. So I perhaps they may have used a different. I don't know. There's a different way to do that, but look at this. I mean, how many look? There's a Sam and Max. Look at that.
Sam and Max.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Look at that little Easter egg, right? Hey, Brandon, you enjoying the show?
Always.
Did you know that if you like the show and you want to learn more about art and, whatever else I do around here, I have like 1,000 videos at the Sketchcraft channel at Sketchcraft on YouTube.
1,000? 1,000. That's insane.
I've been busy. It's mostly because, I have 1,000 live streams right in here because I've been doing this for like 10 years. But, so if you're ever like, hey, check this out. If you go, Rob, I like that apocalypse that you were working on the other day when you were inking. How did you do that? You can go right in and see almost a little bit of everything I've ever done in real time. It's just sitting there. Sitting there. Yeah. So
I was on that stream.
Were you?
Yeah, I was on that one. It's like Inception.
I mostly tune you out. I think so. But that's cool. It's cool that you were there. I'm proud of you, Brandon. Thank you for that. But so hey, look, if you're looking for art tips like on perspective, digital inks, basic perspective. If you're looking for speed bits, I got color pencil, digital art, digital coloring, traditional art, watercolor, complete with commentaries. It's all here. It's organized right in the video section. Right, it's all organized. Brandon, you organized all this, right? Remember this?
I did organize that.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of videos. There is probably 1,000 videos.
Remember when you organized it and then I broke it and you had to fix it?
You broke it and you broke my soul. That's what happened.
1,000 videos I screwed up and Brandon had to go do it twice. So yeah, it's pretty good. Also, we used to do a podcast from 2010 to 2014. If you're ever looking for career advice in art, right? This is old and dated shit, but it's also still relevant. So this is where I put it because I don't do much of this anymore, but I kept them all here. So a good 4 years of old podcasts and then another 4 years of whatever we used to do. But now we do the new podcast where we look at comics and stuff. So this is at Sketchcraft on YouTube. Also, if you're looking to spend some money, you know, because all this stuff is for free. We don't charge
all this is free. I get all this for free.
If you're looking to actually give me money, right there at Ko-fi.com/Sketchcraft. You can just send me some money. I appreciate it. Go get a coffee, maybe a pizza, right, Brandon?
Oh yeah, we love both.
And also, from time to time, I sell prints at shopsketchcraft.com. There's a little link right there on the front page. No prints in there right now, but maybe in the future they'll be there. I close it for the winter, so in the spring it'll open up. Because shipping gets so crazy during the winter. Doesn't it, Brandon?
Yeah. Oh, it's insane.
Yeah, there's no point in it. But it's going to be open up soon. We're going to have new prints, and that's where I saw it. But look at this, me drawing. Look at that. Silhouette drawn to the silhouette.
Construction master.
Who teaches this for free on YouTube?
One.
Right? Nobody.
No one.
Nobody. And nobody watches it because there's like 4,000 views. So, if you want to support this show, go give me for the love of God, go give me a view. All right, Brandon, let's get back to the show.
Let's go.
So, I really think people should go open up some Batman comics from the year 2000 and see what they were producing, and then look at this, because this is a cut above the rest. Like the acting alone, right? Look at this. Look at his Joker acting.
Great
Like
face.
look
That's
at
a
the
great
hands.
face.
And the hands, look at the hands. Like
Yeah.
he's like, oh, mamma mia, like this is a motherfucker, you know. Like, he's like and look at Harley.
Right.
She's like, oh, I gotta fucking yeah.
Great
So
faces, man. Great
yeah,
faces.
you just aren't getting this kind of thing going on. Look at all these little Joker bombs and stuff. And the coloring too. This is really not over rendered. Or rendering is, usually when it's used to describe like the level of detail and color your surfaces you're kind of like playing at. And usually in the 90s, you'd get a lot of over rendering where things are overly 3D'd or glowed or stuff. But here, I think you're getting just enough to get that Bruce Timm animated style, but it feels more 3D.
It's muted. It's muted. It's muted colors more than anything.
But look, McCaig is putting the stripes in Joker's pants in color. See, like that's not in the line art. Like
That's a lot of detail.
McCaig's going to the fucking lasso tool and drawing all that in. Like you didn't have to do that. Like, that's,
That's a good point. Yeah, line art. Yeah, I never even considered that. Yeah. So here you're getting more just Joker beating around, trying to look and steal and try to do his grand plan here. And he gets caught. The cops come, start busting the joint. He's got to figure things out. And I gotta tell you, Rob, I thought this was a pretty creative way of, to be honest, of discovering what the mask is right here. As like Joker, as like to be a dickwad is like here, as a like this totally feels like animated series to me. With Joker slapping that mask on his face, like it sounds like,
including the
Joker
dialogue,
in general, but
including the dialogue, like this ain't about you can really hear Mark Hamill saying this stuff. What a disaster!
Absolutely.
It might be losing my touch. I'm washed up. Like
well,
this ain't Robin. Like and then like you could hear it. If we could ever get Mark Hamill on a cameo, we could just pay him to read the whole comic, right? Like
yeah. But this is great. But I thought this was a great way to discover what the mask is.
Yeah, which is a living cartoon. I mean, and this is like to put people. The original Mask was a really dark, violent comic. So this is like the movie
dark.
Mask.
Yeah,
it's using the story line from the Dark Horse comic where Stanley Ipkiss is dead, but you're getting the Jim Carrey version. I mean, it's.
Stop me.
Look at that.
That's exactly what you're
getting. This is some fantastic cartooning. Like, even
sure.
then McCaig, look at McCaig rendering the teeth in color. Like
that looks great. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and look how accurate everything is. I mean, look, that colors, they get paid for bulk. Like so and every panel he's rendering teeth, dude. Like tastefully, not overdoing it, but man, it's just. And I remember.
Sorry.
I was gonna say the color holds here. Color hold is when you fill the black lines with color, right? To pull them back.
Mm-hmm.
So like making these tornadoes a gold color to this yellow, and then the mask heads have like a blue, right? Like a blue tint to them.
Yeah, totally. And I really like this aspect of the henchman trying to impress the Joker. So it really plays on the idea that the mask is not just like its own entity or its own like what's the word I'm looking for? Like consciousness. It is just the inhibitions of the person wearing the mask and bringing those out, and that you're getting that played out here. I thought it was so he's not like, I can beat you up now, Joker. It's like, no, I want to impress you. Which again, I thought Gilroy did a good job of explaining here in these couple pages of like what Joker's seeing and how he ends up. Well, it's obvious what's going to happen here in a minute, but yeah, I thought it was really well done and well explained, to be honest, in my opinion. I thought the art does a great job of entertaining you, but I think Gilroy does a good job of setting up what the mask is by Joker being like, hey, what's going on here? Like, I love that he's discovering what's going on.
Yeah, and I love this panel, man. Like, this is just
how
fantastic.
big his head is.
Yeah, and I love the line weights, the really chunky line weights. It really works out. But the color design is fantastic. Like the blues are the color that's coming out the window, whereas the warm colors of the tapestries, like this is just smart sound color
Yeah.
design. So you can put the
Well,
red
and
behind the Joker because he's by a curtain, and you can use the blue, and it kind of all ties together. This is not easy stuff to do. I think it's taken for granted a lot. Like in comics, this is really solid.
yeah.
McCaig is just a really,
Well,
really solid color design.
and really quick on that second page where he's the blue in the middle panel, the panel the panel after that that's right below on the left. I love how like dynamic that looks because of the colors, like you said, right? Like a great face that's been drawn there, but the colors really make it pop even more with the shadow, but with that orange kind of. Again, I'm not good about describing this, Rob, so bear with me. But I love this panel. It's a very striking and dynamic panel to me.
Yeah, it's got good graphic quality, the color sound, and putting blues in the greens. Like greens are something that these days in comics, for some reason, everyone uses neon lime nuclear waste green for some reason. I don't know why. But here you got the Mask has this warm lime green, sort of an olive lime green. But the Joker has a mint blue in his hair, right? Here there's a little bit of olive,
Right.
it's a bounce light, but
Yeah, because you can't have it be. It'd be too distracting to have them both of the same color exactly, right?
But I'm telling you, a lot of colors would do it. A lot of colors.
Yeah,
would do it.
yeah, because it's easy. Because it's the easy way.
Yeah.
Quick and Darth path, right?
Well, I don't know, but I mean, these things are designed for 5-year-olds, so who cares, right? Just turn your brain off. I just want to see my Batman comic. I want to think about. But yeah, so here we go. Like, so the Joker basically kills his henchman and gets the mask, and good old Bat shows up. Now this Batman's like it's the animated Batman, but it's like really kind of the Miller Batman. This is pre Jim Lee Hush, but it's almost like but it feels like the Jim Lee Batman by way of the animated series. To me,
well,
at least.
And the thing, yeah, well, Jim Lee brought. I mean, I wouldn't say he's slender, but he's slenderer than this Batman. And I like my Batman a little. Like I like. Listen, Dark Knight Returns is one of my favorite comics of all time, and I love that Batman. But to me, the prime Batman and Batman in his prime will always be the more slender, fit one. And this is fine, but yeah, this definitely is Miller influence of like, he definitely went upper body all the way. You know what I mean? So, yeah, Batman shows up, gonna stop crime, and Joker knows he's got an ace in the hole. See what I did there? And we got. I love the orange. You really made me like love that orange, man. By the way, I think it's great.
Well, I mean, the fact that he puts the swirls, the pink and purple swirls, because purple's the contrast color to yellow on the
yeah.
So like, I mean, even like McCaig put the stars back here. He didn't have to do that.
Love it.
It's so good. Yeah. I like this warm glow he put on the little hearts above that.
The glows. I think that's what it is. The glows he puts on the colors really make those things pop way more than they would.
Yeah, and it's not the kind of glows now where a lot of times colors will take and just like they rim light, everything with a giant glow.
Right.
And I'm like, everything has like a white lightsaber glow attached to their body. It's not that. Yeah.
And this is not. I'm not trying to criticize the artist here, but I'm not a big fan of the Batman symbol. It looks the black and the blue like together, and how big he is.
Well,
it just seems.
I
weird.
think the thing you might want to think about those today, modern artists are largely tracing over or applying Batman's logo digitally, so it's always consistent. And when you're drawing Batman's logo from panel to panel, it's never consistent. I mean, if you look at any of the Batman comics from the 90s on down, it's Miller. Even Miller got the closest to being consistent by just making it take up the whole chest, right?
No.
But when people
again,
if you remember like Legends of the Dark Knight, when Legends of the Dark Knight started up, Klaus Janson was drawing some of those issues, and that was like when I started picking that series up, and I was like, that was right after the Burton movies, And his bat symbol, and those issues are drawn brilliantly, but his bat symbol is wildly inconsistent. It's like, how do you even draw a little bat symbol in that thing? It looks weird.
It's and honestly, it's not even how it's inconsistency. It's just the contrast of the costume that he's wearing. It just doesn't, and the colors. It just doesn't. It just feels off to me a little bit because I'm so used to the blue and the classic, yellow oval. So anyway, I'm not like, it's not like my. I'm not saying it's awful.
Except the Adventures of Batman had already come out, and he had the black bat symbol on a gray suit.
Yeah.
Just he didn't have blue. He had the blacker pieces. So
blacker. You can't get more non-black. Whatever that Spinal Tap reference.
Extra
is.
black. Yeah.
Extra black. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Joker. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, story.
Really quick. I was gonna narrate this real quick. Joker. I love Joker getting the upper hand on Batman. Like this is what we kind of like. I expected. Like they go straight into it, man. Like I love that.
Yeah. If anything, because this is a Dark Horse crossover, I do wish it was more violent. Like it would have been interesting to see, because this was a direct market book. This wasn't out on the newsstands, so like it would have been interesting to see the Jim Carrey styled Mask pull out, like under the Joker, he pulls out his inhibitions is to kill Batman. He never would have done that, right? Like because he won't do it. But what if he like was really violent, like with Batman, like. That would have been like if Batman's bleeding and shit right here, like that changes all of this. Like you go, oh, this really, it doesn't, you don't get the sense that this isn't anything Joker couldn't have pulled off if he hadn't already just maybe hit Batman with the piano first. You right? Like, so that would be my only thing. But I mean, they probably had DC editors going, you can't do that, So.
Well, and plus, I mean, like obviously, you like it's more cartoony, so you can't go more ultra violent. I think because you're trying to keep that tone. Well, hold on, but you're trying to be consistent, and I think that's the thing they're trying to do. They're trying to make it accessible for young. Again, the 5-year-olds, right? But like, there is an accessibility
5-year-olds buying a Dark Horse direct market DC book. Yeah, I don't think so. Like,
I'm just saying, it's.
I bought this. I mean, you could have the mentality of a 5-year-old. I'll give you that. Like
that works.
It's a lot of words for 5-year-olds.
Yeah, I love the 9. Well, actually, I would disagree. There's not a lot of words in this for this comic book, in my opinion. It's pretty easy to read. But the 9-panel grid, pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's always fun to pull one out every now and then. I would say sometimes with the 9-panel grid, you want to leave maybe a panel open for negative space, right?
Interesting.
Yeah, sometimes it's just easier to do that, like because even like the Harley's diagonal bit, this is pretty nice. I like the way this compositionally works. But yeah, I think the rendering on him is. That's like the perfect amount of that 90s style rendering. You get some speculars.
That looks good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not overdone, but it adds 3-dimensionality to it. Because I mean, a lot of this like ink work with like these lines, the feathering lines going here and everywhere. I'm not a big fan of that. You could lose surfaces with that sort of thing, but it does all work out. And then my only real gripe about this issue would be this Batmobile is. It's not my favorite.
It's not the best. Yeah, it's not the best Batmobile they could have picked out here. As we see Joker, go out and start to basically just kick the crap out of Batman, and Batman has to basically put his tail between his legs and run off, which is not common for what he's done with Joker, right?
I also think a missed opportunity is to put a Joker face on the saucer, like right here. Like I would have, and maybe like a mask Joker face or something, right? So
that would have been cool. Yeah.
These bits are trying to emulate this thing, but I would have taken these off and put on something more. This is like very Jetsons, right? Like I don't know, like it's fine, but I would have done that by way of like, because he always customizes everything. I mean, if there's gonna be a bat hood on there, he would have had something on there. No, that's basically it. Also, a little shout out to McCaig for line holding this gun here, the zapper with these gold lines, right? These brownish gold lines, because like it just makes it look how so much. It just looks so solid.
Yeah.
It pops out three-dimensionally. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
And then basically Batman drives himself into the river and bada boom, and Darkwing Duck's up here now. So it is the Darkwing Duck, right?
I love yeah, it is. I love Darkwing Duck.
Yeah. Yeah, and then
all right.
Second issue. All right, let's go.
Second issue. Let's do it. Second issue, we've got the Mask and a bunch of very cheesecake friendly cover. Right?
Yeah, it's for 5-year-olds, right? It's for 5-year-olds.
You know what? I take it back. I take it back. I forgot.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay. And as we see here, Harley is bummed out because she's eaten herself. She's eaten her what's the word? Her
candy
emotions.
Corn. Yeah.
And because she's bummed out that he's not paying as much attention to her as she used to. And we get help me with his name, detective from the Big Head, the original Big Head.
People don't know the Mask was called Big Head back in the original Mask series.
Yeah. They should have called him Big Head in the movie. That was a miss.
This series doesn't do a good job of explaining the Mask lore. Like there should be some kind of like, even like in the first issue and the second, like a history of the Mask.
Yeah.
Like just a little something to let you know. Just I mean, if you're picking this up, you're familiar with the Mask 9 times out of 10 is the movie. So if it's not going to use the movie, it should have, set that up a bit better.
Yeah,
but, and look at this. And again, this is like the coolest version of the animated series that isn't the animated series. Like the animated series is still the best, but look, like out of all the fucking animated series books I've seen done, and even the ones that have tried to take the animated series material and put it into like modern Batman, I don't think anything's matched like this. Like it's both similar. It's both familiar, but yet very stylized in its own way too, which is saying something. And so, but it's right out of there. Look at the shadows.
That looks great.
Yeah.
And we see here that the detective from the original Mask comic books. Again, I forgot his name. We've got Gordon, we have Montoya, we've got Bullock, and then in comes Big Head Joker.
Yeah.
Would he call himself Big Head in this still? Is that what they call him?
He doesn't give himself a name.
They call him Big Head.
They say Big Head around here. He's had experience with Big Head.
Okay. And I love
this. When you draw a panel like this, you're like, I'm gonna sell this for so much money, like. But I love these expressions. Super good. Oh, look at this. This is my favorite. Look at this. It's great.
It's great. That's
great. It's like a kid. It's a kid who gets his Halloween costume, right? Showing off.
Yeah.
And plus, we get to see the Joker give Bullock a wedgie, which we've never seen before. So.
Yeah, totally. That's
Speaking of Miller, right? Like Miller in the medical bed, right? I mean, it's
awesome.
It's Miller by way of the animated series. Yeah.
Let's give a shout out to the establishing shot. I like the establishing shot right there.
Yeah, and you can look at that's the animated series Batwing.
Yeah, there it is.
100%.
Great. Love it. Love. Great. Good solid page right there. We've got more just Joker Big Head just kind of telling Harley like he wants to go on television. He wants to kind of re-up himself. He's kind of done everything, and now he wants to go on the TV and become a celebrity essentially. And as we see here, it's and that makes sense. I mean, because in essence, to me, the writing here, and I'm curious what you think, Rob. The Joker has to become bigger than as a Big Head character because the inhibition becomes like he has become bigger and badder, right? That makes sense and lines up, I think, with the characterization of Joker in general, the very general part of it, and what the Mask would do. This feels totally in line with what that would bring out, in my opinion.
It does. I just think it would also bring out the more violent side. Because how do you go bigger than the Joker, right? Like The Joker.
Well, they kind of
this
address
series,
that,
in the
don't they?
animated
Like,
series, the Joker, even in the animated series, Joker killed people. He's pulling out Tommy guns and shooting up rooms and stuff.
oh,
Man.
Tommy guns, so good.
So like that's the one thing where it doesn't really. I'm not an advocate for just using violence in a comic to like, you know, I'm not a shock and awe kind of guy with like, oh, just violent it up. It's fun. Rip heads off. I'm not that kind of dude. But I do think like this is more like it feels more like if the Cesar Romero Joker got the Joker mask. Right?
Mm.
Because
No,
I do think
totally.
the Hamill Joker eventually killed Robin in the Return of Joker series. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, I love that movie, by the way. It's so good.
but this is I love this. He's spanking Catwoman and she chokes him with the whip. So
I love his face. I know he's getting choked. It's perfect.
yeah, it's super good.
That blue is that blue right there. I love that blue. You're right. It's very striking.
Well, the thing that I think color wise I think goes a long way too is here in the medical room. There's all these maroon. No, what's I'm thinking of? These teal greens or gray olive greens, and then this use of purple and orange for the medical. It's only use in the orange, so it pops out. I think right now you'd probably have someone try to just glow there, and then they'd add glows here, and then they'd add glows here. You know, like they would probably glow it from 3 different ways, but
Yeah,
not the case.
makes sense.
Yeah. Super. I like that. And that's the stuff I'm in it for. That right there. And
Gotcha.
this
The
panel
detail.
I think is super good too, where he color traps the buildings back here just to push them back.
Oh yeah, good point. That does look good. Yeah, it does. This is a visually pleasing book, and again, those little things in comic books go a long way, and like but no one appreciates them. That's the problem with inkers and colors, right? They get no love.
I also like that the TV screen he drew
it's the TV. It's a real like screen, right?
Yeah, and
Lines and everything.
McCaig, this isn't like normally people would probably take the line tool and just put an overlay, but he actually drew like it's like a pen tool that went around and created this thick to, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a thick to thin, and it's different on every screen. I don't think he just used the same one. It's not the same. He had to use a couple or flipped them or something. But yeah, the cutting between running around town, the TV screen, the bit, the TV screen, the bit, the TV screen, the bit.
And I'm really quick, go back just a quick second for those 2 pages. I love, like, if you look at these pages, like how you're supposed to read the comic book, right, Rob? Like, look how they match each other. I love that. I love how they're using the pages to like work off of each other, and how it's telling that it's obviously telling a story out, but the symmetry is good. I love this.
If this were an animated series, this would be a whole like montage bit with the sound going on and like a repeating choke. That's what you're getting. It's very cinematic.
But exactly. And I love how the last panel on each one is like it's her by herself. It's leading up to that point where it's, again, this is good to me. This is great visual storytelling, but it's so subtle that like you don't really think about it. But when you look at it in this perspective, that's why I love physical comic books. You're looking at like this is go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I love when you look at this and it tells a complete thing, and at least for me, my eyes just want to keep looking at the pages over and over again because it's so striking and fun to look at. It's telling a complete story in and of itself. Like if you just look at these 2 pages without looking at any context of the story, Rob, this would tell its own story, in my opinion. So I like that.
It's a fun sequence. It's got some details in it too. Like if you look Harley, her blonde hair is right.
Oh yeah, see, it's great.
Right, look at those little details, and then look at the Denny Tim.
Yeah, there it is.
Stradley's the mask creator, right? So like yeah,
great. Those are great pages, man. Those are fantastic.
I do think if I had any when Joker puts the mask on, I may have given like his voice dialogue a different coloration, but
I see. The added the cartoony aspect.
Yeah, I mean it has a different font and a different style of word balloon. Which is cool,
but it's
but
like
I probably would. I mean, I don't know. I may have tried a version without it, but with a different coloration.
The classic like bigger font with like the rigid box and letters to make it sound like there's like
I like that. I just would have probably colored it like pink and purple or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a little that to me is a little too on the nose to me because I don't think he's that much.
You think
I don't know.
This is on the nose? Like,
no, but, the lettering of like the this his own voice. Anyway, Joker, he's being targeted here. We've got they're bringing in the martial law basically. He just they have no idea what they're dealing with. They have the guy from what city is he from? It's not Star City. It's damn it, I forgot what the city that's all based out of. But anyway, you've got this government coming in. They're trying to stop him with Batman out, and it's this Joker, just big head, just running amok, everything. And Gordon's no one's listening to the guy from the original Keystone, right? Keystone City, that's what it is.
There you go.
Remember that. So yeah, he's ignoring Keystone City guy, and just Joker just destroying and just having fun with what he's given. And this again,
how evil that little fucker looks. Look at that dude. Look at so good, right out the hole.
Kills people there. He kills people.
This is one of those panels that like you get in the script and it's like, yeah, the tank blows him up and there's a hole and then he comes out the hole and you're like, fuck, am I gonna draw him coming out the hole? Like, and I'm gonna tell you people, like when you're doing that sort of stuff, just draw the end product. Don't try to draw him physically coming out of a hole. Like, it doesn't read when you try to do the in-betweens too much in comics. It reads extremes. The small things in between don't move as well as you'd like. You want the human brain to fill in the gaps. Like, you could see, like, there could have been thing where hands were trying to here, or he was like he's crawling, or they maybe have tried to do 3 panels to get it, but hole out, done. And it helps too because like it's zoomed in and then it zooms out a little bit, so it'll like it's subtle, but it does.
You don't have to, you don't have to be married to the exact panel before to establish it. To have the dynamic. You can play with it a little bit, like you said.
Some do, man. Some artists get hung up on that. So
I know. I totally know what you mean. I totally know what you're talking about.
I'm really a big fan of the coloring on this panel. The maroon, right? The maroon, the orange to gold.
Yeah. Well, it's a motif throughout the whole series, right? I mean, it's that.
McCaig colors like this. This is a lot of his stuff. If you've seen his recoloring of The Walking Dead, he does a lot of this maroon to yellow stuff.
Oh, really?
So it's really good.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in there. He's super good with that.
I also like how the guy from Keystone City, the detective, he's unafraid to confront Big Head, and even though he doesn't really know the Joker necessarily, he's like, Joker doesn't just straight up kill him. It makes you. I know that it's not there. They don't kill many people in here. You don't want to kill this guy. He's a big character, but it does make me think maybe the Mask has knows who he is and doesn't want to kill him. Maybe a little bit. Like there's that idea.
I also think he's not coming at him threateningly. He's like being sympathetic.
Good point. Yeah.
Everyone else is throwing bombs at him and antagonizing him,
and he's retaliating, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So he's just like sympathizing and saying, "Hey, let me save you, Anakin." Kind of move. Right.
Star Wars reference. Nice.
Yeah, a little bit of that.
And this is probably my least favorite aspect of the show, of the comic, to be honest, is the cheesecake factor. I think this is totally unnecessary, in my opinion.
Yeah, I disagree. So yeah, that's it would have worked in the 60s. So
yeah, that's fair. I mean, I just don't like I'm a prude, you could say. I wish they wouldn't be as revealing. It'd be a little bit more subtle.
Well, I love this Poison Ivy. If I had any like critique of it, as I do with the Bruce Timm design, I do like the mint leg stockings, right? So me too. Not to cover up, I just think color design, it's more
I agree.
interesting. Yeah. So that
Yeah,
would
I
be the
agree.
one thing
I
I
agree.
would probably, would have been like, let's just, color that up. I mean, he wanted to draw the toes, but I mean, whatever. I mean, that's a hard. The bottoms of the feet with the toes are not fun to draw anyway. So like, props to that. But look at that. Like, we're gonna get to the third cover, and this is the first time I've ever seen in the main Batman books the Harley and Ivy relationship. Right? I don't.
More than friends. Yeah.
Maybe it exists. I'm not. Look, I'm not completely familiar with the Batman books post Nightfall, so maybe that was in there somewhere. But I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it wasn't, because I think if it was, Wizard Magazine would have been crowing about it a whole lot more, and I don't ever remember. I mean, I was reading Wizard all the way up until like 2001 or two, So
Mm. I kept going after you, and it got rough.
it got rough, but I had nothing else to, the internet wasn't.
Yeah.
There wasn't much to get, so
Mm.
with comics news.
Yeah. So right
So-
here we got the Mask, Big Head making his big TV debut with the cheesecakes in front of him.
Who wants to
and-
be a millionaire, which started in '98. I'd forgotten. So
Oh,
like,
that's weird.
this is at
You
the
just-
height. Yeah.
Rest in peace.
And look, he takes the gun out. Is that your final answer?
There you go. Yeah, yeah. See, I love the idea that he wanted to make entertain again, that whole TV thing we were talking about earlier. I love the idea of him taking the whole TV thing of like who dying and killing people, but it has to be in a very entertaining way, and it's like to where it has to be grand, right? Or he throws this guy off a freaking building and like it. They save him. I love that they save his life, but he just is all about trying to bring this really crazy artistic like death thing, kind of again going back to the 89 movie a little bit, Rob, where he's like, I'm an artiste. It's kind of a little play on that, maybe like that whole idea.
Yeah, but he was
which is-
killing people in the '89 movie. I just wish there was more.
No,
of
no,
that.
I know, I agree. I'm not saying he wasn't, but yeah, I did. I will say when Ivy was brought in, I didn't know what exactly her role was gonna be. It's interesting how we see it play out here, and her, as she's like trying to get Harley to think of her. She's using her needing poison to try to get back or get with Harley, and Harley just has nothing to do with it. I love that. It's like she's just clamoring for Big Head, the original Joker, to come back.
Yeah, if I had any critique about so far, I'm not a fan of faces that just go into the white. Like, like draw the ear or cut a black shadow right here. You know what I mean?
That's a little
Cut it.
weird.
I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not a
it's a
fan.
little-
It
it's a
works. It's
little-
one of those
yeah.
things that looks okay in black and white, but I'm not a fan of it. Like,
Yeah. All right, we've got he is just going crazy. Harley's gonna lure him in. I love Harley's eyes right there on that bottom right panel. I love that. That's fantastic. And then we have Poison Ivy show up, make Joker go crazy. Doesn't know what's going on. Setting him up.
She kills the nip and tuck. Look,
Yeah, that's
plant
right.
through the mouth.
Yeah. Look at the bottom panel, really quick, bottom left, right there with Harley and Poison right there. I love that. That's great.
Yeah. It's a lot. That's
See,
1,
little-
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a 7-panel page. It's a lot.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean,
good.
it all works. It all works. It's one of those things where
You-
like,
I think it's too many.
yeah, I mean, if I had anything like probably would have just cut this one
The
out.
middle. Really, I
this
think the
one.
middle panel you probably could cut out. I would say more than anything. It's just kind of adding
Yeah,
more of
yeah,
what
you
you
could
already have in
probably
the first one.
Cut that out. Yeah, because
But I love that bottom right. Yeah. I love the
Yeah,
bottom right.
you got to keep that in. So it's one of these two needs to go. It depends on.
Yeah,
It's one of
I
those
can see
things
that.
The thing is that the reason why I said this one is because they're both talking here and only Joker's talking here. Right?
Ah, gotcha.
And like she's explaining how they died because you don't see it. So that's why.
But yeah, I can see that. A little more Poison Ivy stuff. She gets her limelight a little bit to be the green thumb of the the little thing here. This is great, and how she just kind of tricks him, and he's just so enamored with being the over the top Joker that he doesn't see this coming. Which I was curious what this all means, and here's the thing: why didn't he just get out of it right away? I guess that she moves quicker than what the panels suggest. That's the one criticism I would say. I wish it'd be a little more was informative of how fast it was going. Am I wrong on this, Rob? Am I out of line?
Oh, with the tonic effect in them? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, this is a writer thing. This is one of those things like they
I
write
agree
it and
with
it's
that,
very
yeah.
righty. When you look at it, it's hard to you have to have people talking to explain what's happening. And so that's one of those things where I'm like, look, if you're a writer, just learn to like thumbnail, even with stick figures, how things are kind of go in your head. So why, even if you never show the artist, you can kind of get a sense of how visual is this. Because if it were like a Venus flytrap that gobbled him and then spat him out and kept the mask or something, right? Then that's visual. You can see that. But this me spraying you and then you hallucinate. The POV, you're never inside Joker's head anyway, so it's really hard. That only works when you can kind of see through his eyes, kind of thing. So it's they have to explain what's going on, and it's all right.
It could have been done. It works, but it's a little. I wish they would have kept it a little more faster paced and make that quickness coming around a little bit. We've got Harley taking control of the Joker through her poisonous gas as we get here, and Harley just wants basically the Joker to come back, and obviously Poison Ivy's enjoying this whole thing. Inner wine.
I really love this.
I love that. I love that too. That's fantastic. That's
super
great.
Good. And I love this.
Great. Yeah.
It's like a
maroon stuff.
It's like a Natural Born Killers. You know what I mean? Like
yeah. That's very posterish. That's a very posterish.
Right.
Very album cover, if you will.
Yeah, if Tarantino had done a Harley Poison Ivy bit, that would have been the Miramax.
That would have been it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Batman comes back.
That's why I say this is more the Jim Lee version, because the symbols very much the Jim Lee version of the Miller.
Yeah, it's definitely Jim. Yeah, it's definitely Jim Lee version, but he's just too big. He's just too much like a linebacker.
Did you not see the animated series? How big Bruce Timm's Batman was? Like,
yeah, but he's not like.
He is giant with tiny feet.
It's fine. It works. It works in animation.
He's got feet 3 times smaller than Liefeld's feet. Let's be honest. Like, go look at the Bruce Timm stuff again, especially the New Adventures designs, which I love. But yeah,
to bring up Liefeld, the sore subject.
Yeah, thanks for that.
All right,
thanks for that.
Thank you for reminding me. Thank you. I'm gonna throw a guilt trip back to you. We've got Joe. See, I love how she's like, she's got him under his thumb, gets him to take it off, and then immediately, I love this. This is a great turn. The powers that she bestowed on him are gone, and he's back to like whatever, right? And he puts the mask back on. I like this. Wasn't really expecting it. I thought this was really clever and well done. And I immediately, Rob, thought, how the hell are we gonna get out of this?
Right. Yeah, I agree.
I love the anvil.
Really. It's the spikes bit too.
Yeah, that's great.
I really like the cape and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is very like Joe Mad was doing these kind of capes, like on the Age of Apocalypse Magneto, right?
God, yes, Age of Apocalypse Magneto, yes, thank you.
Joe Mad drew some brilliant
too.
cape work on that series. Kind of reminds me of that a bit.
Changeling, he had a lot of good. He made Changeling look phenomenal. I love his Changeling. Now we have Mask about to kill everybody because he just wants to get his revenge and get crazy.
I feel like her top is missing and he just covered it up with tape. Let's wrap this
All right,
up.
last issue. Wrap this up. We got.
I do love this cover, by the way.
That's a good T-shirt cover too, right there, in my opinion.
Yeah, that would be a fantastic T-shirt. Like masterpiece.
Establishing shot. Oh, that's fantastic. That's a great. I love TV screen. The TV screen, great stuff.
The chicks are off though now. That's a little bit of continuity issue.
Yep.
But then they're back.
All right, we have the detective sneaking off here, gonna do his own thing. We have Big Head about to go crazy, and I like all this. He's going crazy. Dude, this cracked me the hell up, man. Again, imagine people, you're grabbing the comic book, you've got two hands on each side of the pages, and this just reads beautifully. Again, I love the symmetry. I know it's all supposed to be together, but Rob, I freaking love this. This is great.
Well, it also
And I
reminds me
laughed
of
out
like
loud.
it also reminds me of the DC Who's Who universe books, right?
Yes,
Where you'd have these
yes,
different
yep,
versions
yep.
of the Jokers in there, where it would say this is
Well,
Joker
in
2,
Marvel
this is
Universe,
Robin
right?
2.
Handbook.
Yeah, but definitely the Who's Who, because those are the ones I'm from. And they would put like
Really?
Robin 2.
I wasn't as familiar.
Yeah. They would put the different versions of like the variants in there. And that was the first I'd ever seen of that. And I mean, those Who's books go to like the mid 80s, like, or early.
I need to get
go
those.
back.
I'm a Marvel zombie, so I don't know the Who's Who as well.
Yeah.
Batman's Batwing shows up. Looks a little modified, not completely like.
It's
the
not as good
animated
as the
series.
animated series. It's chunky.
Not even close. It's not,
Yeah.
I like the sleekness. All right, we got Joker being the Joker.
Super Joker. So
That's great.
stupid. It was one of those things that, like, when the writer hands you this, you go, "Is he trying to end my career? You know what I mean? Is he trying to give me some stupid?"
I
shit?
like this. See, because it's a playoff of. I don't know. I liked it. I like it.
You if you don't put the work in, it can read like Mad Magazine. Like, you have to be very
But I think
careful
that's
about.
kind of the point, though, right?
You
It's a
got to
little
be
It's a
careful. You
little
got to be
Mad
careful
Magazine.
about it, because there's a difference between having fun
Balance.
and making fun. Right? You want to make sure you're
You're
not
right,
making fun of it. You're having fun with it.
I had fun
So-
with this. I thought this was a good play off the whole Superman motif, or his relationship with Superman at the time. I like this. Like, you ever see Batman trying to do everything he can to outsmart Big Head and try to see. To me, it's obviously he's pushing him to the limits of what his powers can be. I think
Well,
Batman's
also-
trying to figure that out.
In keeping with the Miller, it's a Batman Superman fight. Like,
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go.
Right.
Yeah, this is great. More great stuff. I love how, again, Keystone Detective gets zapped. Doesn't get killed. Make that very clear. Batman. I also love how cartoony and how unhinged Batman goes on Joker. That he knows he can't kill him, but he just goes ham even more. You know what I
also,
mean?
he
Like, I
takes
like
the
this.
cape off, which is something you saw like in the Marshall Rogers kind of days of Batman, right? Like, you don't
Yeah.
that Neil Adams era, right, where he'd fight like Ray
Yep,
Al
yep,
Ghul
yep,
and
yep.
shit like.
Oh,
You
yeah.
weren't
When
getting
he
a
was
lot of the
shirtless.
you weren't getting a lot of the Batman with the cape off moments in the 90s.
Yeah.
So I feel
That
like that's
doesn't
a
happen
lot.
very often in general.
Right.
And then I like this. He's testing him. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go back and be the Joker."
He's
and
got
this
this
is
suit
where
under. This is
I know.
it's subversive, because normally the super suit is under the Clark Kent outfit, and now the
Right,
Clark
right,
Kent
right.
outfit, which it literally is the Clark Kent. I know it's Mask's outfit, but if you look at like the superpowers Clark Kent mail-in action figure, it was like the same type of suit, right? But that's
Yeah,
under
yeah.
the Superman, which is great. I don't think that's ever been done before. Maybe even since, when you think about it.
Mm-hmm. No, it's great. And
This-
this is where
this,
go ahead,
this is amazing. This Batman pose right here.
screenshot.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like
Well, that-
sometimes you don't get a grip on the character until like the third issue. I feel like this is where the dude like figured out what he wanted to do with the
Yeah,
whole look.
yeah. It takes a while. You can't nail things. It takes time to go into things. And one of the things I liked about this this kind of last issue here, Rob, is that Batman finds a way, and I thought it was a clever way. Not clever, but I thought it was a really solid way to get him to basically realize what's going on, because he calls him out like, "You need this to be funny." And then Joker, I love how Joker's head pops out. Like,
Yeah, it's his actual
Joker's-
head pops out of his.
Yeah,
like the good
genius.
angel, bad angel, but it's literally the physical Joker head.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Well, and think about this too. His personality is still strong, right? That it overcomes the power of Loki.
right,
Like, that's why I look at it.
and then he gets the
Dude,
Bruce
that's a
Timm punch
fantastic.
to the face.
That's so great. I love that
you
action shot.
you would almost think it's very reminiscent of the Mad Love panel, right? When
Yep,
Bruce
yep.
knocks the shit out of
Mhm.
him. Pretty good.
Great shot. Great shot.
Look at this.
And
Look at this. You can almost see
arrangement.
the mask style teeth now, right? Like he
Yeah,
doesn't
he's
have it,
becoming the
but
big head.
he's yeah.
He does. I love the big. Tries to kill him anyway.
I love this.
And then, yeah, no go boom. And then they have the guy, and he's just like,
yeah, no, why no boom? No.
Yeah, why no boom? Yeah, I love that last panel. Harley, it's like, yeah, that's Mr. J. And
You can
like,
hear it,
damn.
Arlene Sorkin. You can really.
Yep.
Yeah, and then it's the end of the issue. If anything, I think like this sort of stuff needed more. This starting in Keystone with the grave, it should have started and ended with this, right?
I 100% agree. 100%.
Like if it were the anniversary of Ipkiss's death, and then, he's reading in the paper that there's gonna be a mass show, and he goes in Gotham City, and he's like, this has to end, and he heads off.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
You get more payoff with this, because this is, to me, for, like you said, the movie fans than it is for any Mask fan.
But this isn't the movie. Like Stanley Ipkiss didn't die in the movie.
Right.
This is the comic book lore. So I just think like you needed 1 or 2 pages of this in the first issue to bookend it.
Yep.
But yeah, It's a shame that this art team and this writing crew didn't get back together to do more Batman stuff.
Yeah.
Like I would have loved to have seen imagine a world where this crew got to do the Batman Captain America team up and not John Byrne, right? Like,
oh man,
you could see
can we do those? Can we do those soon?
I hate that series, dude. I was so looking forward to it. I was so looking forward to it. At Comic-Con was at 97, I think that was 96, 97.
Yeah.
And the DC booth, they would have like these tables with like black and white photo stats, right? Like photocopies of previews, and they had a preview of it in there, the John Byrne Captain America Batman team up. I was like, all right, this is gonna be dope. But I'm looking at it, like, what happened to the man's art? Like, it just didn't have the punch that I was.
Yeah.
The Man of Steel
that's what happened.
Punch,
Right. Well, and I think, not to go too in the weeds here, but I think that same thing could be said for Spider-Man run too, right? So.
Well, that was abysmal. That was.
Well, that's a whole different thing, right?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I've never read those issues. I've only looked at them. So.
I mean, at the time,
anyway,
Eric Larson was complaining about it to no end, and in Savage Dragon, and then that's when Larson started writing. It was around that time or right after the time he started writing like Aquaman at DC while he was doing Savage Dragon, and it was like I just wish that Spider-Man Year One material had been something Larson had written and drew. Like,
Larson's an underrated. Yeah, Savage Dragon's a whole different story, but I think he's an underrated writer. I thought his Spider-Man stuff was pretty fun, pretty good.
Yeah, and his Aquaman stuff was great too, and the Kamandi reboot.
Yeah, I should read that. Yeah, I should read that. So
yeah. Remember he wrote Wolverine for a little bit too with Jeff Matsuda. So Joker Mask, was it worth the trouble for you, Paul? Was this
absolutely? Absolutely. I to me, if you can get your hands on this in the dark web, or if you can get your hands on this online, I think it's worth it. If you're a Batman fan, 100%.
Physical issues run you about $10 a pop, usually $40-$50 for the whole set. I still have my original issues. So I have issue 2. I have issue 2. Issue 1, 3, and 4 were stolen from me by a buddy. So when I say stolen, I'll borrow these. Never return them, right?
Classic.
Right?
The classic.
I know. So I'm always like, if I can find these in the dollar bin, I'll pick them back up, but I'm not spending $50 for something that was stolen from me. Like
I got my eyes out for you. I've been looking out for you, my friend.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out, Paul. Everybody, if you got any suggestions, you want us to look at something, just leave it in the comments below, and be sure to check out Paul's Comic Binge on YouTube. I'll have links.
Sounds better.
You can go see us talk about Rob Liefeld. I joined in there to go look at the Rob Liefeld Captain America, and Paul got me got me blocked. He got Rob Liefeld to block me for praising the book. So it really breaks my heart. I'm a huge fan of Rob Liefeld's work, and I spent a good hour explaining to you guys why that book is actually pretty good. And
Me
so,
too.
hey,
I liked it too.
if anyone out there can give Rob Liefeld a shout out and say, hey man, that Sketchcraft is a big fan. Like, what is going on? I appreciate that.
Actually watch the video. Watch the video.
Watch the video and then let Rob know that Sketchcraft loves his work, man. He's a big fan. So
and Paul Herman does too.
So. We're so.
Whatever.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later on the next time. Thanks for hanging out. Gotta go. Bye. Peace.